Have Norman Osborn and the Kingpin formed an unholy alliance? Will this be worse for Spider-Man than Kindred? Well, let's hop into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 56 and find out together, shall we? So then, in the last issue, you may recall that Kindred's well-laid plan of revenge was actually cut short when his father made the scene dressed as the Green Goblin and backed up by the Kingpin. It actually makes a lot of sense, as Norman and Wilson were in cahoots for a while now. It was Kingpin, as the new mayor of New York, that let Norman take control over Ravencroft Asylum. And Kingpin had a particular bone to pick with Osborn's son Harry ever since he tried to threaten him by using the memory of his wife Vanessa. Together, the two men had concocted a plan to capture Kindred, and I positively love this because it's a callback to Secret Empire. You'll remember when Hydra took control of the United States, they had trapped all of New York City under a Dark Force dome, and basically that's what Kingpin has planned for Kindred, and to make it all happen, he uses a kidnapped Spot, which, man, might actually be the most this lower tier Spider-Man villain has gotten done in a very long time. Kindred is put under glass and taken back to Ravencroft Asylum, where we see that Norman has spared absolutely no expense in making sure that his son can't use his newfound demonic powers to escape. Naturally, the Kingpin wants to have his way with Kindred and enact a horrible revenge for making him feel so small, but this is where Norman steps on in once again, saying that if anyone is going to torture Harry, it should be him. After all, he's his father and knows how to hurt him in ways that no one else can. Norman clears the room so he and Kindred can have a little alone time, and wait, what's this? A twist? It turns out Norman actually wasn't turned evil all over again. Instead, he's only pretending that he reverted to his Green Goblin persona. In fact, the only person who was in on this scheme was Mary Jane. That pumpkin bomb that Norman had thrown at her at the end of the previous issue was actually just a flashbang to help sell the turn. Yes, it would seem that Norman was only using Kingpin and his resources so he could try and capture his son, fearing that if Harry continued to run around as Kindred, it was only a matter of time before he ended up dead by his own hand or Kingpin got a hold of him. Norman actually gives a very impassioned little speech wherein he apologizes to his son for all the evil that he's brought into his life and how he blames himself for everything that's happened with Harry over the years. And that if he'll allow him to, Norman wants to do everything he can to make sure that his son is saved, and that he really has turned over a new leaf ever since his run with the Sin Eater, which he further thanks his son for doing. In fact, Norman takes his whole current moral realignment thing as a sign of good things to come, as after the Sin Eater was defeated, all of those sins that he cleansed actually returned to the villains except for him. Well, actually, as we discover soon after, it's a little bit more complicated than that. Just because the sins haven't found their way back to Norman doesn't mean they won't ever. Overdrive continues to be living free and clean right now. In fact, he even wants to try and start a relationship with Carly Cooper, one of the only people who believed in him. Why, even Martin Lee in his human form manages to stagger his way to Aunt May in the Feast Shelter, one of the only places he still feels safe, and currently he's on the run from his sins, which, yeah, you better believe are personified by Mr. Negative. But wait, you're all probably wondering, what became of Spider-Man at the end of all of this? Well, we end up flashing back and see that after Peter realized that Mary Jane was okay and that this was all part of a bigger scheme, his prerogative quickly changed to trying to save Miles, Gwen, and all the other Spider people who ended up getting roped into Harry's crazy plot. Oh, but wait, there's more. Before Harry ends up getting dragged away by Kingpin, he ends up dropping some really interesting little nuggets of information. He says more than anything he was hoping to have his best friend and his father in the same place. Because, and these are his words now, they're the two people he loves more than anything else in the world, and they're the two people who also just so happen to hurt him deeper than anyone else either. But to truly understand the whys of it all, Norman and Peter are still going to have to do a lot of digging, and once they discover the truth, Kindred hopes that it'll destroy them in the same way it destroyed him. Because, once again, reiterating something that's been mentioned a lot throughout Nick Spencer's Spider-Man run, who Kindred isn't important. Why Kindred is the real important question. And as the comic winds down, we see a very angry-looking Spider-Man also make his way to Ravencroft Asylum. It seems that he has indeed been doing some digging and that he and Norman have some stuff they need to talk about as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Amazing Spider-Man issue number 56, everyone, the big post-mortem for Last Remains, and I gotta say, I like what Nick Spencer has set up here. Kindred is defeated, but far from gone. Norman Osborn and Spider-Man will actually need to work side by side if they ever hope to uncover the reasoning behind Kindred, which we as the reader already know is one more day. Mary Jane is also back in Peter's life now, and you have to wonder, will he finally be able to work up the courage to ask her to marry him all over again, or with everything that's happening, will he end up putting that on the back burner? There's also the chance, too, that whatever may remain of Harry as we knew him still exists somewhere inside Kindred, and that will no doubt be playing a part coming in the future. Overall, I felt this may very well be Nick Spencer's best Spider-Man arc so far, and I can only hope that we get a lot of the same going forward. Overall, I'd give this one an 8.5 out of 10. Hey there everyone, Kate Joel again, and I just want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. And hey, if you enjoyed the book I covered in this issue and want some comics of your own, might I recommend Book Depository? It's my #1 place for shopping for comic book trades. You get a great price, and if you use my link down in the description, you'll actually be helping me out at the same time. You get something, I get something, everybody wins, right? So until next time everyone, I've been Joel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.